Hi everybody, Geo here, and welcome back to my channel. I better warn you, the little noises you hear in the background, my little dog is very active today, so just ignore them. Today's story is called The Bet. Monday, first official day of spring break, and I had gone to the mall with some friends to celebrate. It was lunchtime, and we stood on the second floor balcony looking down at all the shoppers on the first floor and the food court. Hundreds of people fluttered about below us, rushing for food or for a seat or to find friends. The chaos of lunch rush. I usually missed it because I was up at the university this time of day. "Look at the blonde," Jay said, and pointed at a girl getting a smoothie. "Do you think she'd say no to someone as perfect as me?" "All you'd have to do is walk up to her and she'd run away screaming," Ron said. Jay and Ron were my two best friends. We'd known each other since grade school. I'm not so much to look at, as thin as a broomstick and pale, and hair so light it blended into my skin. My folks and grandfolks and great-grandfolks are all from Norway, and the blonde gene runs strong in my family. So is the skinny gene. Most people are very jealous. I'm one of those guys who can eat anything, in any amount, and never gain weight. No matter how hard I try, I don't bulk up. I'm a blonde toothpick with blue eyes. That's me. "She wouldn't scream," I said. "I bet you'd have a chance, until you opened your mouth." "A lot of people wear braces in their 20s, Jay said. "Dude, he wasn't talking about that. Have you smelled your breath lately?" Ron said. Jay breathed out and tried to sniff. "I don't smell anything." "The rest of us do," I said. "Seriously, what did you have for breakfast? A garlic and tuna omelet heavy on the onions? Don't you have any breath mints or something?" "I knew I forgot something. I hate you too," Jay said, leaning on the railing. "We're messing with you," I said. "She probably likes garlic and tuna anyway." "Okay, Blake, who do you think I should date?" Jay asked. I scanned the crowd and found a blonde college girl that looked like a model. "Her," I said, pointing. "She's so far out of your league, you're not even in the same baseball stadium." "Okay," Jay said, and looked through the crowd. "Then you should date him." "You're kidding," Ron said, laughing. The guy Jay pointed at was easily 50, with a beer belly that his stained t-shirt didn't quite hide, and a scraggly beard that was streaked with gray. He sat alone at a table, playing on his phone. My friends knew I was gay. I told them years ago. "But I don't date older men," I said. "No, look again. The guy with him," Jay said. "I don't see a guy," I said. "Wait, you mean the guy with the long hair?" "Torn off sleeves and the tattoo on his shoulder? That's him," Ron said, smiling. "Admit it, Blake. That bad boy has you shaking in your socks," Jay said. "He does not," I said. "I'll make you two a bet," Ron said. "Jay, if you talk to the blonde girl, and Blake, you talk to the bad boy, I'll buy dinner. Both of you have to go. You have to ask them out, or the deal's off." "No way," Jay said. "For cheap hamburgers, no. If I am going to humiliate myself, I want steak at that new steakhouse," I said. I already knew Ron wouldn't go for that. That would be expensive. I was pretty safe. "That place that charges extra for everything? I'll go for that," Jay said. "I want steak fries thrown in and that jalapeno creamed corn." "And drinks," I said. "And dessert," Jay said. "Good thing I got my tax return back," Ron said, folded his arms, and gave us a wide, gloating grin. "You're on. If you don't do it, you take me out to the same place, and you're buying." "What? You're serious? You'll take us out to a steak dinner, or we take you out to one?" Jay said. "Steak, baked potatoes with everything, steak fries, creamed corn. They have that molten brownie pie for dessert, and since we're all 21, I'll get us each a beer, Ron said. Or you'll get me the same. Clock's ticking. I want sautéed mushrooms on my steak. Which woman was it again? Jay said. Jay, you're always thinking with your stomach, I said. She's by the third table, Ron said. I sighed and blew out a breath. Either I agreed, or I'd never hear the end of this. Fine. Bad boy for steak it is, I said, and left Ron for the escalator. Jay was a little ahead of me. From Ron's vantage, he'd know if we didn't talk to the people. As I rode the escalator down, I kept praying that the guy would get up and leave before I got there. Then it wouldn't be a win for Ron, or a loss for me. We would still go out for steak, but I wouldn't have to go through with this. There was no sign of the younger man, but the older man sat in a chair, his right leg propped up on another chair. His crutches were leaning against the table. His right leg had an odd brace that extended nearly from hip to ankle, with an opening for the knee, and multiple Velcro bands, both above the knee and below the knee, holding the brace in place. It was a big brace. Underneath it, his leg looked like a mummy had bandaged it. The man was pale under the beard. He grimaced and winced and almost looked like he wanted to cry. He set his phone down and rubbed his leg. Are you okay? I asked, and took a seat at his table. Can I get you anything? He held his breath a moment, then slowly, almost painfully, let it out. No, he said. When I didn't move, he said, I'll be fine. My son is getting a drink so I can take a pain pill. What happened? I asked. Another knee surgery, a deep voice said behind him. I told you, Dad, that I should have taken you home, but no. You wanted to go to the mall. You said, I am tired of seeing the same four walls all the time. You said, it doesn't hurt that much anymore. You said, getting out of the house will do us both good. I still say we need to get you home. I've been laying around for too long, he said. I want to see the world again. The world hasn't changed, the other man said. Easily 6 foot something and at least 5 inches taller than me. He had long brown hair pulled into a tail that hung loose down his back. He wore a black t-shirt of some band called Negascream, with the sleeves ripped off and the collar ripped open. One ear had a silver hoop, 2 studs, and a purple mid-sized gauge. The other ear only had a purple gauge and a stud. Around his neck, he wore a simple gunmetal gray chain with a padlock on it. Look at the definition in his arms. This man lifted serious weights. His tattoo, a screaming tiger with outstretched claws dripping blood, roared from his left shoulder. He hadn't shaved for a week or more, had deep-set, brooding eyes, and I would guess he was around 21 or 22. Same as me. I bet he knew how to hold his own in a fight. He probably caused a few back in school. Jay was right. I was scared. If we got in a fight, skinny me had no chance. The man set a cola in front of his dad and fumbled in his pocket for a pill container. As he removed his hand from his pocket, his shirt lifted a little, exposing a few inches of his tight stomach. The man caught me looking at him, his face completely unreadable. I looked away. Your doc said 1 pill every 4 hours, but I don't think he expected you to go to the mall, he said. Who's your friend? I thought he was one of yours, his dad said. They both looked at me. He looked like he was in pain? I came to see if I could help, I stuttered. There was no way I would tell them about the bet. I'm Blake. That's my son Raphael. I'm Troy, the man said. See, Dad, I told you there are still nice people in the world, Raphael said, setting the pills before his dad. Somewhere in there, he looked me up and down, eyes narrowing, like he was measuring how much of a threat I was. Since everything is all right, I said, I should be getting back to my friends. Where they at? Troy said. Railing up there, I said, and jerked my thumb up at Ron and Jay staring at me. I guess Jay had struck out because he got back fast. They both grinned at me, and Jay said something to Ron. Ron gave me a thumbs up. With his good leg, Troy nudged Raphael. Why don't you ask Blake? My arms are really tired. Ask me what? I asked. Before you go, Raphael said, do you know if there are any wheelchairs around here, or scooters, or electric shopping carts? I told Dad he needed to stay home, but we got him here, and he's too tired to get back to the car. I don't, I said, and texted my friends. Their reply? Ask security. Don't forget to get his phone number. Phone number? Raphael asked, looking over my shoulder. The truth is, I came down to ask you out, I said, and heat flushed all over my face. Let's go ask security about a wheelchair. Troy glanced at me and chuckled right before he took his pain pill. Raphael's face was still expressionless, but he sighed. Show me where security is. Follow me, I said. I didn't realize it until later, but I grabbed Raphael's hand and ran across the mall to the security kiosk. A man sat inside, light blue shirt and dark blue shorts, and fiddled with a walkie-talkie. Do you guys have a wheelchair? I asked. That was when I realized I'd been holding Raphael's hand this entire time. I let it go and whispered, Sorry. Who's the chair for? The security guard said. My dad, Raphael said. He had knee surgery and has trouble getting around. We don't have one down here right now, the guard said, but we do have one upstairs at the kiosk by the department store. I know where that is, Raphael said. Come on. This time we didn't hold hands as we ran, but we ran to the escalator, charging up as fast as we could. The department store was at the end of the mall. It took us 5 minutes to walk there. Another security guard was on station. Are you the two looking for the wheelchair? The guard asked. Is it here? Raphael asked. You should have called first, the guard said. A woman had a bad fall, so we used it to escort her to the elevator and downstairs to the paramedics about 30 minutes ago. Where is it now? I asked. The bookstore by the main entrance, he said. Can you have them hold it for us? Raphael asked. Raphael and I walked down the promenade, passing dozens of stores. You don't have to do this, Raphael said. Why are you? It took me a moment to think of an answer, but I finally decided on the truth, even though I only just realized it. I'm building up the courage to ask you out to dinner, I said. Raphael slowed and almost stopped. Me? I don't think we're each other's type. As in, you're straight and I'm gay? I asked. No, that's not it, Raphael said. What is it then? I asked. Look at me, then look at you, Raphael said. You look like you could go to a job interview or to a church. And you look like you're going to a rave, I said. My partying days are long gone, Raphael said, his voice souring a little. It's just Dad and me. Dad's on disability, and we're hoping that with all the surgeries, he'll start walking again. How long has he been on crutches? A long time. He's been disabled for more than a year, Raphael said. Work accident, crushed his leg. It's just me taking care of him. Sometimes I wondered how we managed. How did you manage? I asked. Raphael went completely quiet. You don't have to tell me, but I would like to know, I said. I took up guitar and I sing a little when Dad's asleep, Raphael said. I used to work 2 jobs because disability covered rent, but little else. Sometimes I get so tired. We stopped walking and Raphael looked at a jacket in a store window. I used to go out, used to have friends, went to college for a year. Raphael gave me a small smile. Why am I even telling you? You can't mention any of this to anybody, especially my dad. He's got enough to deal with. I shouldn't have said anything. I'm sorry I told you. When was the last time you had someone to talk to? I asked. Never. We moved here 18 months ago because my Aunt Clara found my dad a nice job, full benefits, good hours. She and her family live a couple miles from here. Then the accident happened. I'm the only person around to take care of Dad. It sounds hard, I said. Some days, Raphael said. Forget I said anything, okay? I gave him a half a nod before we started walking again. The wheelchair waited for us at the front of the bookstore. Raphael took hold of it, and we walked back to the food court. I placed my hand on his. He stared at me as if I had lost my brain. Maybe I had. Don't be alone, I said. I don't have a choice, Raphael quietly replied. Jay and Ron sat at a table just down from Raphael's dad when we walked into the food court. I nodded at them. They smiled at me. Jay gave me a thumbs up. Your friends? Raphael asked. Jay and Ron, I said. We got back to Troy and helped him into the wheelchair. The three of us walked up and down the mall for a few minutes, then went outside to their car. It was an older model, a little beat up, and had about 100 hamburger wrappers and drink cups and old soda cans filling the back seat. Maybe it was time to make a friend. Raphael needed someone he could talk to. I needed a social life. The beginnings of an idea flickered in my overworked brain. As we almost got to the car, I made sure both Raphael and his dad heard me. 6 all right? 6 what? Troy said. Raphael never said no, so is 6 all right? Or would 7 be better? 6 or 7 what? Troy said. Come on, Dad, let's get you in the car, Raphael said. Just a second. Blake, what are you talking about? Troy said. Raphael never said no, so I'm assuming it's a yes, I said. Raphael glanced at me, the weirdest expression on his face. You don't give up. I would if you said no, but you didn't, I said. Sir, I'm asking Raphael on a date. Tonight all right? Nothing fancy. Dinner and maybe a walk along Main Street or something low-key and cheap. Payday is not for 2 more weeks. You're asking me if you can take my son on a date? Raphael's dad said. Did you want to come chaperone? I said. Troy chuckled. No, but I think you're right. Raphael, it's time you got some time away from your old men. Raphael's jaw hardened. Was Raphael shy? Was he about to say no? I can't leave you alone, Dad. You've just had surgery and can barely walk, Raphael said. Then, what if I brought Chinese takeout and we binge-watched videos at your place for a couple of hours? You can stay close in case your dad needs you, and you can still go on a date with me, I said. Troy almost laughed. Dad's chair is in front of the TV, Raphael said, slightly turning away. But did he begin to smile? We'll move the love seat over, Troy said. It means I'll have to clean this afternoon, Raphael said. That was definitely a smile. 2 guys living together will make a mess. I'm sure Blake will make allowances, Troy said. I haven't dated anybody in more than a year, Raphael said. Then it's about time you did, Troy said. Blake, 6 o'clock will be fine. I'll give you some money to help pay. Teriyaki beef for me, Raphael likes mushu pork, and we both like fried rice with shrimp. And get egg rolls for all of us, and something for you. Troy reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. He handed me some money. Dad, Raphael said, but his protests were beginning to weaken. I can get my own dates. Stop arguing, Troy said, grinning. Blake, he'll be ready by 6. Raphael shook his head, but he smiled. I can't believe I'm outnumbered. Let me give you my address and phone number. Once Raphael and Troy were gone, I found my friends in the food court. Jay looked at me and said one word. Details. I've a date tonight. I told them everything. Ron only laughed, but he did say, That's how it's done, Jay. I guess I'm buying steak tomorrow night. Raphael and Troy lived in a mobile home in the Hodges trailer park. Their unit, a white single-wide with dark green trim, was near the back and had a yard filled with old car parts. It had a carport, but no car used it, Instead, it had a weight bench, a couple of barbells, a lot of different kinds of weights, several sizes of dumbbells and kettlebells, an exercise ball, chin-up bar, dips bench, and an incline sit-up bench. I parked on the narrow road behind their car. I took the sack with the takeout. In addition to their orders, I'd gotten me orange chicken and gallons more of fried rice with shrimp. That probably was enough to feed 3 guys. I beeped the car and walked up to their porch. The floorboards creaked under my feet. The bell didn't work, so I knocked. "Come on in, Blake," Troy yelled. I let myself in. The living room was comfortably cluttered. Fresh vacuum marks lined the beige carpet. The dishwasher was running, and the air smelled like fresh-scented jasmine. The air was slightly steamy, and the faint hiss of a shower dribbled from the other room. From the hallway came the rumble of a swamp cooler. "Raphael, Blake's here. Hurry out before we eat all the food," Troy yelled. A second later, the shower shut off, and a minute later, Raphael stepped out, in t-shirt and jeans, his hair hanging loose. "I wasn't sure you'd actually come. Did Dad scare you away yet?" Troy chuckled. "I haven't had time to. Let's eat. I'm starving. Raphael knows how to microwave a burrito, and I can order a pizza, but that is the extent of our culinary training." "Good thing I know how to order Chinese food. We should get along fine," I said. Raphael pulled some plates and silverware from the cupboard, and we divided the food up between the 3 of us. "This is heaven," Troy said, holding up a piece of orange chicken. "Why don't we do Chinese food more often?" "Because it's not on my way home from work," Raphael said, stuffing a fork full of mushu pork into his mouth. "This is good," he somehow mumbled through a full mouth. "Open up. I've brought dinner," yelled a female voice from the door. "Can you believe someone parked in back of your car? There's no parking. I had to park 5 houses down, and these trays are heavy." All 3 of us looked at each other at the same time. "That would be my car," I whispered. "Raphael, I know you're home, so just get over here and open the door because I'm carrying too much stuff," she yelled. "That's my aunt. I'll get it," Raphael said, getting up. He took one more bite and then walked to the door. He opened the door and a whirlwind came in. Tall, black hair held back with a floral scarf, turquoise pants that extended halfway down her calf, an oversized striped shirt, and white sneakers. She carried 2 casserole dishes, one stacked on the other, and 2 grocery sacks. One had a green Tupperware in it, and the other had a thermos. She shoved the casserole dishes at Raphael. "Look at this place. Even though you've cleaned it up, it's still a mess," she said. "I swear it smells like Chinese food. You know they put MSG in it. They say that's bad for you." "Clara, meet Blake," Troy said. "Raphael's date. He brought Chinese takeout for dinner." "You brought that stuff?" "It's overpriced, and it's nowhere close to authentic," she said. "And you know they put MSG in it, and so much oil. I brought you some real food." "Thanks, Aunt Clara," Raphael said. "We'll have it tomorrow night." "Tomorrow? You need to have it now, while it's fresh," she said. "A couple of bachelors need a good home-cooked meal, and I brought buttermilk biscuits and country gravy with chunks of bacon and Salisbury steaks. You'll like them much better than Chinese food. It's much better for you, too. It doesn't have any MSG. I don't know what that means, but you can't go anywhere without everybody saying how bad it is." "Thanks, Aunt. This is Blake," Raphael said, "but I'm on a date right now. He's already brought food." "Blake? A date? I only expected 2, she said, eyeing me as if she just barely noticed me. "I didn't bring enough. You haven't had people over here since—" "Wait a minute. You're dating again?" "First time in a year," Troy nodded. "I can't believe it either." Aunt Clara took Raphael's seat and leaned in and stared at me, frowning. "You're dating my nephew. Do you go to college? What kind of job do you have? Tell me about your family." "What?" I said. "Clara," Troy said, "settle down." "I will not," Clara said. "You haven't had anybody in here for almost a year. I come over and wow, somebody's here. Are your parents divorced? I bet that's your car out there taking my spot. Do you own it, or are you leasing it?" "Aunt Clara," Raphael said, "that's my date." "A date in your own living room?" she said. "How cute. What about when Terry goes to sleep?" "Clara," Troy said, "what is your problem?" I'm only trying to protect my brother and my nephew, she said. Since your wife left, it's up to me to look after you two. I took a second helping of rice and teriyaki beef. How should I handle this? I could get upset and throw a tantrum. I could walk out the door. I could ignore her. Or I could play along. Or I could take it a step further. Raphael wasn't exactly blushing, but his eyes darted from me to his aunt, his mouth slightly open. Perfect. I'll take it a step further. How many times have you dated? Aunt Clara asked. Aunt Clara, Raphael said, have you two kissed? How much money do you make? What are your intentions with my nephew? She said. Well, I said, but she didn't give me a chance to answer. Troy, how come you didn't tell me Raphael was dating? He's wearing an old t-shirt and ripped jeans. You should have called me and I would have come over and helped Raphael get ready. Whose idea was it to bring Chinese takeout? That's not even close to romantic. It was my idea, I said. One disadvantage to being a pale blonde? It's obvious when I blush. Ron says I turn fluorescent pink. Clara, you've gone too far, Troy bellowed. You will apologize right now or you can take your food and go. No need, I said. I think I know how to put her in her place, and it would be fun. Maybe we can answer one of the questions right now. I have a lot of questions, she said. Clara, I don't need your attitude tonight, Troy said. I got out of my seat. My attitude, Clara said. What's wrong with my attitude? I walked over to Raphael. If I have to explain it to you, then you are really out of touch, Troy said. Do you want to try something? I said to Raphael. Raphael folded his arms. His eyebrows shot up. What do you mean? Normally, I don't do this on the first date, I said, and stood close to him. It's been a year since you've dated anyone, right? Both Troy and Clara shut up and watched us. Dad had his accident just over a year ago, and I've been taking care of him since, Raphael said. You shouldn't have had to do that, Troy said. You did what you had to, I whispered, and pulled Troy to me, very softly, so only he could hear. I said, I'm going to kiss you, but it will be the kind of kiss your aunt will freak out over, and it might embarrass your dad, but I'm hoping it will start the date off right. If that's okay with you, lick your lips. Raphael gave a small grin and licked his lips. It wasn't a first date kind of kiss. It wasn't the kind of kiss you give someone when your parents are watching. It wasn't a polite peck on the cheek. It was the kind you give someone to let them know you're interested in them. The kind of kiss that two people share when no one is around. I kissed Raphael and pushed him against the wall. Stretching his collar a little, I kissed his neck and nibbled my way to his ear. Clara squealed. A simple lip lock. Raphael's lips were stiff, unpracticed. His cheeks reddened a little, and he sucked in his lips as he fought a smile. I leaned in again, taking hold of his lips with mine. His lips relaxed into the kiss as he remembered what to do. As his lips remembered what to do. Sorry, he whispered. It's been a long time. I don't mind, I whispered back. We kissed again, and again. His mouth had figured out what to do. Would your mom approve of that? Because I don't, Clara said. Troy turned his head and chuckled. I'd thank you not to mention my ex. Wow, Raphael whispered and wiped his lips. He smiled. I took Raphael's hand and led him to the door. Where are you two going? Clara asked. Outside to get some privacy. It is a date, I said. What about dinner? Clara asked. I don't think we're hungry right now, Raphael said. It's a beautiful night for a walk, I said. Are you going to let them do that? Clara said. Yep. Raphael is not a kid anymore, and with all he's done for me this last year, he needs some time off. Clara, would you like some teriyaki beef? Troy said. We walked for about an hour, enjoying the sunset, chatting about bands and movies. Some neighbors held an impromptu dance party in their yard, and we joined for a little while. When we returned to Raphael's place, Clara had made cookies and hugged us both as she left. I'm the closest thing Raphael has to a mom, so I might be a little overprotective. I've been a little worried about him and Troy this last year. The cookies are my way of saying sorry." She left a few minutes later. Troy shook his head. "That's my sister for you. Help me get back to bed. I'm getting tired. It was nice to meet you, Blake. Keep the volume low." Raphael helped him back to his bedroom. Raphael and I sat in the love seat, binge-watching movies for half an hour before the day caught up to him. He fell asleep on my shoulder. I didn't mind, not with a plate full of cookies to munch on, a fully charged remote, and enough movies and sitcoms to last all night. I could get used to this. I texted a selfie of Raphael sleeping on my shoulder to Ron and Jay with the caption, "When you take me to the steakhouse, do you mind if I bring someone?" Ron's comment, "Good thing my tax return came through." Jay's comment, "How come you found love?" I texted back, 2 words, "breath mints." He responded, "What flavor?" Raphael and I watched videos and went for walks every weekend for a year. Sometimes Troy joined us watching videos. Whenever Aunt Clara came over, we made sure to kiss in front of her. She always brought homemade cookies. Once Troy had recovered from the surgery and didn't need the brace as much, we took him to the mall many times, usually after his physical therapy. He had months of physical therapy, but it paid off. With a cane in one hand, Troy walked Raphael down the aisle. We gave Troy a cheer and a standing ovation. It had been a lot of hard work and tears, but Troy wouldn't let Raphael get married until Troy could walk his son down the aisle. A dad should do this proper, he had said. Raphael stood beside me and we held hands. "How could anyone be so beautiful?" Raphael whispered as he stared at me, his eyes ready to overflow. I tried not to cry, and failed, because Raphael looked so good in his tux. My friends Ron and Jay were our best men, and Jay handed me a tissue to wipe my tears. "For luck," he whispered. The tissue had a breath mint hidden inside. Once Troy was settled and Clara stopped fussing over him, the judge turned to Raphael and me, and his eyes twinkled. "Who has the rings?" "I knew I forgot something," Jay said. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next time. Peace.